Things that make you go yuck is what we're going to talk about today. It's a children's 4-book series about insects, plants, animals, and we have today the authors Charlie Hatton and Jenn Dlugos who are going to talk about this great children's series. I'm Suzette Martinez Standring, and you're watching It's All Right with Suzette, a half-hour show on the craft of writing and authors. So I want to welcome today our special guests who bring with them a very interesting background in comedy writing, performance, and filmmaking. Jenn Dlugos and Charlie Hatton.
Hi.
Thanks for coming today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I have to tell you, your 4-book children's series, Things That Make You Say Yuck, is so fantastic.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about the book? What it's about, who is it written for, what age demographic?
It's written for ages 9 through 12, and it's really geared toward getting kids interested in science. And we thought, we wanted to write, books about different types of organisms, and we thought, hey, some gross organisms are actually really kind of cool as well. So that's kind of what we examine, is that some things that seem like really yucky on the surface, like spiders or scorpions, are actually really interesting if you look at them closely.
And how did you come to write this book? I mean, of all the things that you could write in the world of science, how did you choose this type of subject?
Well, this was actually a project that our publisher put out a call for proposals for science books and for something along these lines. And again, we both have biology backgrounds. We're both interested in science and yucky things, and it seemed like something we could have a lot of fun with. Again, sort of keeping the yuck factor in to really get the kids involved, and then including a lot of science as well.
Well, I think it's a really compelling way to educate kids and get them involved. The photography is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I found myself completely immersed in facts that I had no idea about barking spiders and baby fulmars. And for those of you in the audience, those are birds that can, as a defense mechanism, they vomit out 5 feet of a gluey substance and against predators. And predator birds that are trying to attack them, if they get it on themselves, they can't wash it off, and it actually may prevent their ability to fly forever.
Yep.
So I found that really interesting.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is because those birds, the baby fulmar birds, is they make nests in a very vulnerable location. So that's really kind of the only defense that these birds have against these predator birds. They're very exposed. So, they're not hidden in a nest. So that's just kind of, they've developed this defense to be able to protect themselves so that the species can proliferate, basically. So.
Now, there are 4 books in your children's series, all about yucky, fascinating things. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about each book?
Sure. Yeah. You want to trade off?
Sure.
First. Yeah. My favorite is Mystifying Mutants. So that's about anything that has a genetic basis. So any sort of odd physical characteristics or species that have evolved from others in sort of an unusual way.
And what kind of creatures are included in that mix?
Oh, there's, we may have to trade off on this as well.
We have two-toned lobsters in there.
We have two-toned lobsters, yeah.
We have your TNT weed.
Right. Arabidopsis, yeah.
Yeah, even things that we eat every day, like bananas, are actually mutants, and how that actually affects how bananas grow.
Beefsteak tomatoes, which
really?
There's a genetic basis for why those look different and are very different from regular tomatoes.
Well, what is the definition of a mutant, for example, to qualify to be in your book?
Ooh, go ahead.
Anything that had a mutation in their DNA. So sometimes some books talk about things that happen during development, like a mutation that happens during development. We specifically things that are tied to the genome. So so we talk about. That's what we talk about forever.
Oh, and then you have crooked critters.
Yes, crooked critters is plants and animals who are kind of the criminals of the wild. So
Ooh.
they are like burglars. They steal from other critters. They are. We have some identity thieves, like those who copy other animals for protection in a lot of ways.
Home invaders.
Home invaders, yep, we got
Several
those.
of them.
Wow.
The thing about that book especially is that these animals, they're not, in the plants, are not trying to be mean, so to speak. They're just doing it to survive, If they can find a way to survive by exploiting another critter, they will do so. So.
And let's see now. So we have the mutants, we have the crooked critters. What are the other two books?
So one is the Odd Couples. So that's and it's come up already a little bit in the discussion, but a lot of these adaptations and behaviors and things really come about when one species or one animal is dealing with another, or has to fight another off. Or in Odd Couples, sometimes it's that, sometimes it's mating behaviors, sometimes it's parasites that are feeding or sort of mooching off of another animal or another species.
What were some of your favorite Odd Couples?
I think my favorite is there is a relationship between sloth and also the algae in their fur, and also a type of insect that lives in their fur. And it's basically, sloths, a particular type of sloth, actually, they're very slow moving, obviously, because they're sloths, but they actually spend a lot of energy going down, climbing down a tree just to poop. And the reason, and the scientists investigate that. They kind of wondered why they're doing that, and they found this interesting relationship where the insects that actually live in the fur are feeding off of the algae that's actually in the fur as well, and the sloths actually feed off of that algae. So this is kind of like this communal 3-organism relationship.
Like symbiotic?
Yeah, definitely a symbiotic relationship. So and it's it's pretty interesting how these very complex relationships can form in the wild, and some are beneficial, some are not, to one organism at least. So yeah.
That is really fascinating. And the fourth book?
The fourth book is Extreme Living.
Oh,
and
yes, Extreme Living.
So we talk about extremophiles, those that live in environments that most other organisms cannot, but we also talk about things like extreme diets of some organisms, or there's actually a vegetarian spider. So most spiders, yes, you would think that they're all carnivorous, and this one, actually, most of its diet is actually plants. So it's kind of unusual that it's developed that adaptation.
Yeah, and I can't remember if I saw this particular fly in Crooked Critters or Extreme Living, but it was a fly that its mouth is not developed, so it can't really eat, and so it doesn't live that long. And of course, it raises the question, why is it around? But you really feature so many creatures that I wasn't even familiar with, and I found it fascinating.
Yeah.
Really.
We've actually been getting that review a lot. I've actually seen reviews in which some people who really am into biology saying, I'm into biology and I haven't, I didn't know about this critter. So we really did do a lot of research to find really interesting things that you won't see in other kinds of books. So. And
how did you divvy up the duties? Did someone do the research, or you both did the research and the writing? Because I find that the formats of the books are really well organized and fascinating. But even when you talk about, okay, we're going to do a book on mutants and extreme living and all that, that takes a lot of imagination and creativity. So how did you come up with the format or the division of duties?
We basically, we brainstormed the topics that we would want for the books, and then a little bit, book by book, we sort of thought about what the chapters should be, and basically just split them up 50-50, more or less. I think there was one maybe it was a very spidery, heavy chapter that you did most of.
I will say, almost all, I really love spiders. It's one of my weird things. So almost all the spiders in all 4 books are mine, except you have 2, I believe.
I have 2, yeah.
So.
yeah.
Well, I must say, I saw that chapter with, with the spiders and the tarantulas.
Oh, yeah, that was definitely mine.
Well done. Well done.
So.
Now, but again, you mentioned that in the reviews, even people who are in biology as a profession were surprised at some of these discoveries. How did you discover these things?
We did a ton of research, and we looked at some kind of some new research that came out on different organisms. So I think it's very up to date. I mean, that's the thing you want in science, is to have the best information available. So honestly, that's really how we did. We just did some searching on some interesting genetic mutants, and there's some interesting, like especially with the genetics book, that there are things that are labeled as a genetic mutation, but when you look into it, it's still not really clear like what the genetic link is. So we kind of avoided that, So it was a ton of research on our end to do that.
Well, I think that your books really help children develop a sense of science and a love for it. Because myself, I mean, that's the thing, right? You're feeding them some good information and facts, and they're learning, but they think they're just having fun.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly how it affected me. Right. I made all these discoveries, and I think it's a wonderful way to interest children in genetics and all kinds of things, and adaptation.
Yeah.
So, what I wanted to ask, do you have any particular favorite discoveries?
Do you have one? I have a few. But
yeah, I've got a few.
Come on, I love
think
it.
Probably my favorite animal that I wrote about, at least, is the tardigrade, which is in the Extreme Living book, and could have been in basically every chapter because it's an organism. It's a tiny little cute organism, and they call them water bears. Yeah. They look like little bears or pigs with 8 legs, and they're
They look like little bears or pigs.
Yeah.
These insects.
Yeah, well, they're tiny. They're little animals. They're not insects, but they're tiny little animals.
Oh, tiny little animals.
Like, and they can live anywhere. They can live in space. They can be frozen and revived. They can live in high salt, high temperatures. Pretty much anywhere. They're indestructible, nearly.
Yeah.
That is really fantastic.
Yeah, they're fascinating.
We have to go to break. But when we return, we're going to be talking to Jenn Dlugos and Charlie Hatton about their wonderful children's science book series, Things That Make You Say Yuck. We'll be right back on It's All Right with Suzette. And we're back with Jenn Dlugos and Charlie Hatton, authors of Things That Make You Say Yuck. Now, where we last left off was Charlie was telling us about some of his discoveries that surprised him, and I'd like to hear yours, Jenn.
Yeah, my favorite, the one that kind of springs to mind, is that there is a little tiny crustacean that actually attaches to the tongue of fish. It actually eats the tongue off. Whoa. And then becomes the replacement tongue for the fish.
Whoa!
So that one's hard to forget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Folks, wouldn't you love to own this book and read all that? Oh my gosh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's just amazing, like the survival mechanism that this little crustacean developed to do that in the fish. I mean, the fish is not happy, but the crustacean is.
But it generates a new tongue. It becomes the new tongue.
No, it's still attached to the tongue of the fish.
Yes.
And the actual crustacean becomes the tongue for the fish. So if the fish opens the mouth, you'll see this little crustacean looking at you.
Oh,
so
wow.
So
now that's really fascinating.
Yeah. What's the fish going to say about it?
Yeah, I know. It's
How long did it take you to get to get one book written? One book done?
We actually did these really fast. We did them. The actual writing actually only took 5 weeks for each book. But we started researching last fall, I think. We started researching in the fall, and then we had a deadline to have all 4 books done by May, so so that they can find images and all that as well. So so it was fast. But I'm a middle school science writer. I write for education. Charlie's very, very interested in science as well, and he does science for a living as well. So we were able to research pretty quickly and pretty efficiently for this. So.
I want to talk a little bit about the process of your writing this book. It's very interesting because obviously you both have a science background.
Yeah.
It's your interest, it's a passion of yours.
Yep.
And yet both of you met as Boston area writers, as comedy writers.
We did.
And I know that you have, I want you to brag a little bit on yourselves. I really do, because you have a very impressive comedy writing and performance background, and both of you. So, tell us a little bit about what you've done in that arena.
Would you like to brag first?
Yeah, I'll brag and then you can top it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we met actually doing stand-up 10 years ago in
More than that, I think.
in some of the smallest and seediest bars around Boston, which is how that usually goes. And then, in terms of science, I've been doing mostly genetics research in oncology for the last 15 years or so. So with the Dana-Farber and some biotechs. And in terms of writing, really most of what I've done in the last few years, we've collaborated on. And I don't know how much you'll talk about that, but we formed a studio together and put out a web series, Magic Land, and besides the books, either produced or written several other pieces, which you could talk about, or you could talk about other stuff. Whatever you like.
Charlie, I think it's interesting that you have a science background and in oncology, and here you are, stand-up, comedy, cancer. Wow, that's quite the background,
Comedy and cancer.
Yeah, it's
That's
really,
going to be your memoir title.
Yeah.
So.
They go together. That's
Now, did you begin in a science background and then veer into comedy, or is comedy something that you do on the side in addition to your science research work?
At least so far, it's been in addition. Yeah. So my career's really been in science and in bioinformatics, and the comedy just sort of keeps me relatively sane. If I can get enough of it.
I
Some days are better than others.
I get it.
But
yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And Jenn, I know that you've been performing comedy for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I think you and I met at was it a writers conference?
We met at the Irma Bombeck Writers Conference.
That's right.
We lived 10 minutes away and we met in Ohio.
That's
so it was,
Dayton, no less.
yeah, Dayton,
It was
Ohio.
a fantastic conference.
It was a fantastic conference.
And you've had so many things happen between that time when I met you years ago.
Yep. So I'll talk about my science background first. So I was a health and medical writer for a long time, and then I went freelance, and I actually started transitioning into biology writing as well. Science literacy is a really big passion of mine, which is, getting kids to think scientifically and learn critical thinking, and so that they can, use those skills in the job market. So I really am now pretty much a full-time science writer for the middle school audience. And I also do comedy, as Charlie said, that we have our production company, Drink Storm Studios, and we do a web series. We do a lot of short plays. We actually just went to New York for a short play. And yeah, that's
Your work has won awards.
yes, our work has won awards actually. So yeah, and we're very, very proud of that. So actually, I think we do a lot of science writing, but we also do a lot of comedy as well. So it's kind of 50-50 at this point. So and that's actually why we decided to pitch to this, because we both have a science background, and we really thought we can, with our comedy background, we can write in a way that's entertaining for kids.
It is very entertaining.
So it's really kind of funny, and it would be something that parents also would enjoy reading to kids. So one thing we've learned, and we didn't expect this, was that younger kids are actually, younger than the demographic, are actually really attracted to books because of the pictures and things like that, and parents are actually reading them like passages from the books, and they're too young to read on their own, but they're still learning science in that way. So that was kind of our goal. Our goal was to write science in a very entertaining way so that kids can get interested in science.
Well, mission accomplished. Really, I was very taken by the quality and the professionalism of the book, and your comedic voice.
Yep.
Your comedic voices really come through in the writing. And you know, there are some pictures that are, you know, the spiders and all of that can be kind of a little on the spooky side, but your comedy really tempers that.
Yeah.
You know, it educates in a very fun kind of way.
Right.
Now, is the 4-book series complete, or are you adding to it?
If these sell well, we actually have 4 more planned. We're under contract to do 4 more. And we're also doing a giant outer space book, bizarre things that happen in outer space for this publishing company. So,
What is the publishing company?
Proofruck Press. So, and they are geared toward writing content for special needs students, for gifted students. So that's kind of where their specialty is. So.
Well, that is really fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, tell me how did you find? Oh, that's right. You answered proposals.
Yeah.
You must have been up against a lot of contenders.
We actually don't know.
Yeah,
I assume so because they actually did. They promoted it pretty well. I mean, I saw this on several different sites, and we actually pitched the genetics book first. And the reason is also with your cancer background. Cancer is, you know, has a genetic component to it.
Right.
So one thing I noticed is that there really wasn't any books available teaching kids about genetics, and we thought, you know, let's teach kids in genetics in a fun way by these weird and crazy organisms. So that's how we came up with that.
Now, your book, your series just came out in October.
Right.
October 2016.
Yes.
And so you're just really rolling out the tour and the promotion.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how has it been received so far?
It's been received very well. Actually, you've read more reviews than I have, so why don't you?
I have. I've read all the reviews.
He's read all of the reviews.
The nice
very
ones
positive.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
No, it's been very positive, and I think we've heard what we hope to hear. What Jenn was saying, that not only are the kids enjoying the books and becoming interested in science, but it's also something that the parents have enjoyed, and aunts and uncles or whoever is sort of reading with the kids also get something out of it too. That it's enjoyable for everyone, and I was surprised too to hear that younger kids, we're really big with the 4-year-old set.
Yes.
Which
We
we
are.
didn't expect.
That's our
at all.
demographic.
And they're
The
not.
photography and colors are very
Yeah.
compelling.
Yeah.
You know. Now, where can we buy your book? Where is it available?
They are.
And do you have a website where people can visit and learn more about you and the books?
Drinkstormstudios.com is our production site, and we have information on the books on there.
Drinkstormstudios.com.
And Barnes & Noble sells the books. They're also available at Amazon and many other online retailers. But Barnes & Noble actually has them in the store. And also, there's a few local places as well.
Yeah, they're in, and sometimes it's sort of one or the other, just a couple of the books. But I know they're in the MIT Coop, Brookline Booksmith, and a couple of other places that we visited that have agreed to take them. Yeah.
Now the website, Drinkstorm, is it drinks,
Drink,
plural?
No, Drink One. Drinkstormstudios.com.
Okay. Does it also talk about where you might be speaking or appearing?
It will. We don't have all our speaking dates up yet, but as soon as we do, or anytime we have a play that's being produced, we always post it there first. So.
Well, that's fantastic. And what else would you like to say to the viewers here about your book? About learning great things by saying yuck. I mean, really, what it's...
Sometimes the most fascinating things are the most disgusting, or
Yeah,
vice versa. I don't know, but
that's pretty much it.
yeah.
So
Some of the things that have stuck with me in the books are really disturbing in a way, but also fascinating.
Yeah.
You know, I keep talking about the photography.
Yeah.
Was that done by your publisher?
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you collaborating with the photographer in any way?
We weren't. So basically, we reviewed the photos that they had just to make sure that they were accurate. But that was pretty much them. They showed us it, and we absolutely loved the photos that they chose. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so much fun to read those books, and I'm definitely giving them to my 2
Awesome.
grandchildren. Anyway, we're out of time now, so I want to thank you for being with us today on It's All Right with Suzette, and we'll see you the next time. Thanks very much.
Bye.